Now we're waiting for the verdict with the case in New York where the prosecution and the defense, they arrested their cases in Trump's campaign finance scandal trial dealing with hush money. The court is in recess until Tuesday. Judge Juan Merchan told the jury that there wouldn't be enough time this week with scheduling conflicts and the holiday to hear closing arguments and begin deliberations. Now, one of the things that you continue to see is continue to see this parade of shameful, despicable Republicans showing up outside of court, just making up all kind of other stuff, defending him, throwing kind of crap out. So one of the idiots who has been out there is Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Now, first of all, just so y'all know, Dan Patrick, y'all, is considers himself to be this super Christian. So just want y'all to know, this idiot is defending Donald Trump for hush money to a porn star who he cheated on his wife with after she had a baby. So just understand what you're dealing with all of these idiots who are backing him. You want to hear stupid? Here we go.
We are here to defend our Constitution, our freedoms, and we're here because we are friends of Donald Trump, the President of the United States. And when a friend is trouble, friends have his back. The way he has been treated, you would see in Russia, you would see in China, you would see in North Korea, you would see in every little tin pot dictatorship across the world. And that's what we have here in New York, in America. If they can go after the former president of the United States of America, who has the ability and the financial resources to fight back, what happens to the average American? What happens to any of you? If the courts in New York come after any of you because of something you said, because you said something the ruling class didn't like. And that's what all these other countries are about. They shut down the ruling class. They want to be sure that anyone that speaks up against the ruling class disappears. They want Donald Trump to disappear. They want to send him to jail. They want to take him off the main stage because they know here's their biggest danger to taking the ruling class down. No, you know.
So Donald Trump is not a part of the ruling class? Really? Really? And what you've seen, folks, you've seen a steady procession of Republicans from Congress, from all across the country, going there and sucking up to this fool. What have I said consistently on this show, on other shows? They are about power. Project 2025 is about power. And Larry, people out there who are sitting here talking about, man, I ain't gonna vote, I'm gonna sit on the couch. We already see right now, the Republicans want to make massive cuts to SNAP benefits. That's food. We're dealing with a country where 30,000 people die every year hungry. They want to cut SNAP. We can go on and on and on talking about the policies they plan to enact. And all of anybody out there who's running around talking about, man, but them stimmy checks we got, those checks ain't coming back. I'm telling you right now, it ain't coming back ever, ever, ever. Y'all can F around and find out. But then y'all gonna be real pissed when y'all find out. And then we gonna say hashtag, we tried to tell you, Larry.
You ain't telling no lie, Roland. And this is like Avengers Endgame. And listen, once again, I made my point earlier. They're not telegraphing. They tell you exactly what's going on here. First of all, he's got a bunch of his generals and lieutenants who are, state and federal leaders of the Congress, or you even talk about Patrick, lieutenant governor in Texas, among other individuals. And the language they're using is to delegitimize, when it comes to the judicial system. So here's a powerful white man who held the most powerful position in the world, who's somehow not part of the ruling class and is being treated unfairly. So, and obviously, for a lot of these white folks from middle class and underserved backgrounds who voted for him a few years ago and certainly will vote for him again, they won't realize how foolish the mistake they made until it starts impacting them. And let's just be clear about what this is really about. Because if folks who vote for him who don't look like the panel and like everyone on the show, if they realize what these policies really would do and they think they won't be impacted by it, then they wouldn't even think about voting for them. But the challenge is that they believe that the policies that the Biden-Harris administration is putting forward is trying to balance out the system. And that is centrally what this is about. It is about getting power back that you think you've lost. And once again, creating a Jim Crow remix where black folks and other minoritized groups don't have any power. We suffer, our mortality rates go down, and we continue to deal with many of the challenges we dealt with prior to the Great Society programs in the 1960s. And if folks are watching it, you better get up, register to vote, get other people registered to vote, support campaigns, and get out there, or once again, we will regret it after November.
And that's the thing that is real, Mustafa. And when you listen to these idiots stand there and talk about, oh my God, how this is so unfair, not being allowed to speak, anybody else would be sitting their ass in jail if you actually got charged 4 different times and 91 counts.
Yeah, Donald Trump, his whole life has been about privilege. I'm sorry, let me clarify it, because if I just say privilege and leave it there, people might not understand. White privilege, wealthy privilege. And because he has had that, he has been able to thumb his nose at the law at every turn, going all the way back to him and his daddy. And the things that they got in trouble with around housing-related issues and not wanting to rent to people who look like folks who are on the panel here tonight. So he has been able to utilize his privilege to actually get over on the system, to have a whole bunch of everyday people who started their own small businesses end up going out of business, going into bankruptcy because they did business with him and because he made the decision and his team that what was owed, he thought that he could only have to pay a percentage of it. So when we look at what's going on here in this moment, you really got to take a step back and just ask yourself the question that Roland posed to us just as we started here. You know, if it was anybody else who was black or brown or indigenous or even a lower wealth white person who did the things that this individual has done, would they receive the same type of support from the legal system? Would they also be able to get away with saying certain things and there being no repercussions for them? So we really got to make sure that justice actually has equality built into it. And this is the moment when we also know that to make that become a reality, that you got to vote. And that just means you got to get engaged. And if we have to say it 1,000 times over and over again, eventually it will find fertile ground. Because if you want change to happen, if you want to make sure that those folks who have had privilege, who break the law, that they are held accountable, then that means that you got to vote. You got to get the right judges that are in there that will be fair and impartial. And you just got to make sure that you're utilizing your power. As we talked about on this show, my grandmother says you have power unless you give it away. We got far too many people in our community that continue to give away their power, to listen to folks who have nothing in common with you. When I saw some of the folks that I've known and some folks that I've known, others have known who've been in the entertainment industry saying some of this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, you're a millionaire. You live in a penthouse or you live in a mansion. What do you have in common with somebody who's living in public housing? Somebody's trying to put food on the table and keep the lights on, or figure out how they're going to save enough money to get their kid to be able to go to a good school. So we've got to actually flip this paradigm. Stop listening to other people. Use this a massive amount of brain that we have, and then make sure that we're making the right choices in the ballot box.
Niambi?
Well, look, I think people always think that there's going to be another election, and we cannot presuppose that luxury. Donald Trump is a threat. Donald Trump is a bully. And to what my colleagues pointed out, I mean, somebody's going to be the president, whether people vote or not. That's not going to change. The two-party system that people don't like is not going to change just because they choose to stay home. And I'm not suggesting that it's ideal or whatever, but these are not people you have to like. These are people that we need to have to make sure that there's enough stability so that if we want to create change, that we actually can. There's nothing to change if the system collapses. And very clearly, this system cannot withstand another 4 years of Donald Trump. There are not going to be enough judges. We can't depend on the Supreme Court or even lower courts that can insulate us. Donald Trump has made it clear that when he comes in, he wants to put judges in as young as possible so that this legacy will continue for generations to come. And that's just not the Supreme Court, that's lower federal courts. Also, the people that he's going to appoint to cabinet positions are going to be dangerous. He said he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. I believe the Department of Health might even be on there. So he is going to do real damage to our country, no doubt. And if there's a country left when he leaves in 4 years, I guarantee people won't recognize what it is or how to even manage it. I'm not saying our country is perfect. It certainly isn't. There are a lot of gaps and there are a lot of things to be displeased about. And there are a lot of things that you can take to your parties and argue with them about, even thinking about changing the way we do our electoral systems. But it doesn't matter if there is no elections to be had. And so stay home in November at your own peril, but somebody will be elected. And it's likely not going to be the person that is going to do the most for you or that will do the most good. And in some cases, the most we can hope is that the person won't harm us at all. And and if that's as low a bar as you can have to still show up in November, then go with that.
Yep, play games if you want to. I'm just saying it's not going to be a good idea. So we're going to, of course, let y'all know what actually goes down in this here. And hopefully that jury finds his ass guilty.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
Prosecutor for the people. But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I have heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Maryland was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this was all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you got to deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes. They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher.
Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. And I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It's just so much right now, Lord, and I'm just saying, why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.